It's time.
Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. King of the Couch back in your ear holes for another week of the King of the Couch podcast. Episode 130, I believe, sitting here on Zoom with a legend in the game, a guitarist, a riff lord, a shredder, someone I look up to and fucking frankly love hearing him play. Ken Horne from one of the greatest fucking bands going, The Bronx, man. How are you?
Good. Number 130.
I know, man. I know. I had visions of sort of changing the name slightly to do a bit of a music series, and I was literally just last night. I was sitting here going, you know what? Like, King of the Couch is me, and I talk about everything, and the music's a big part of kind of why I started the whole podcast in the first place. I thought, why reinvent my own wheel? You know what I mean? Just keep rocking. So that's it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Valentine's Day in California, mate. Happy Valentine's Day.
What's up?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
No, it's good, mate. I know we got the time zone. I think what is it, Monday lunchtime there?
Monday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
so where do you live in Australia?
I actually live in the Sunshine Coast, so about an hour and a half north of Brisbane.
Oh, nice. I love Brisbane. That's probably one of my favorites. Well, I mean, I like all the cities in Australia, but I like Brisbane a little, you know. It's just like, you know, that Tim Guitars is down there.
Yeah, dude.
I was a little more laid back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Tim's Guitars because I've seen you wear that shirt heaps. It was actually one of the first things that when I saw a photo of you, you must have been wearing it. And I was like, this guy must love Australia because like that's a pretty iconic shop in Brisbane, frankly.
Yeah, well, you know, what's funny is like even before I joined the Bronx, so this was like probably like 98, 99, I was hanging out with the guys from the Helicopters.
Wow.
And then Nick was like, there's a guy in Australia that makes the best guitars, and you know, back then he was like making Mosrites, you know, they're called Mosrites, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then there wasn't much information on the internet back then, you know. There was no Instagram or like Facebook, so I like kind of searched it, but I couldn't really figure it out. And then once I joined the Bronx, I was like, hey, yeah, what's the deal with Tim Guitars? And they're like, oh man. And, you know, I went to the store and, you know, I texted him or whatever, but yeah, but he's awesome. He's an awesome guy. And, you know, he makes the best, he's like one of the best luthiers in the world, you know?
Yeah, he's definitely iconic, man. I remember going there. I mean, you going back when you said 98, 99, like that's definitely going back. That's definitely pre-internet. I remember going back there because I'm from Brisbane initially, you know, and been playing guitar for quite a few years myself. I wouldn't say I'm quite on your level, but I've always appreciated guitars as pieces of artwork as well, and he just always had one of those cool things. And I remember he used to do like in-store concerts and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I think I was cruising through there one night and just got a whim that band Red Fang were playing in there. I remember stumbling in, and it was like, man, they were just rocking hard, and I was just like, I can't believe I've just walked in here like free, and this band that I listen to are playing here. But yeah, it was cool. It's a bit of a shame, the whole pandemic thing, because I think he had to shut the store.
He just has like his workshop somewhere.
Yeah.
So in 2010 we toured with Violent Soho in the States.
Yeah.
And they had Tim Guitars.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit. And I played their guitars and I was like, oh man, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So that's my introduction.
Nice, man. Nice. That's cool. That's really cool. I appreciate that. And you guys, I was going to talk to it later, might as well talk to it now. You guys are due to come back to Australia, I think, in May. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think the first day is like May 17th or something.
Yeah, man. I'm
crossing my fingers.
Yeah, man. Me too. I bought tickets, so I'm keen. I'll be seeing you in I think you got 2 shows now in Brisbane. It looks like you doubled up.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I might have to treat myself to a second one, man. I've only done that a handful of times in my life, gone and seen a band like consecutive nights, but you guys are well worth it. So I actually picked up the the breaking news T-shirt a couple of weeks ago
Oh,
too.
nice.
Yeah, so I was stoked with that. So which is probably one of my favorite songs off the new albums. I've gone through stages of having each one of them as my favorite, but that's the one for me now. I think you play that riff you got on it is just like lightning fast.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. So I usually have a few icebreakery questions for anyone that doesn't know. I'm sure anyone that's listening to the show will definitely know you and know the Bronx, man. I'll run through a couple of questions,
Okay.
and then we'll go into it. I'm keen to hear more about the Bronx and how you got stuck in and your partnership with Zematis and things like that. I always like to ask this question. I don't know why, man. But have you got a death row meal?
A death row meal, Japanese curry.
Nice. Japanese curry. I know. I'd probably go like a sushi buffet myself, I think.
Maybe sushi or yeah, it's probably Japanese curry.
Yeah, yeah, nice. I like that. I'll honor that. You got a favorite movie at all, man?
Favorite movie?
Yeah.
I like, like La Bamba. I like I saw the Goodfellas back
Yeah.
there. I like the Rocky series, but I really like, Jim Jarmusch.
Yep, yeah, I
He
do,
did like
yeah.
Strangers in Paradise and Down by Law.
Yeah.
But I like those kind of movies. But then I like the Step Brothers and Old School. All the Will
Yeah.
Ferrell movies. That's like kind of a hangout movie too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a good one to just I love those movies. Like just if you want to switch your brain off for like an hour and a half
yeah.
and just like have a good little giggle, those are the movies. But they're always good. I like I was watching The Other Guys the other night with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, and I think that's funny as shit. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Or even like when I'm on planes, when we're traveling, I always watch rom-coms on the plane.
Yeah, rom-coms. How good. My partner loves a rom-com. I'm a bit of a horror fan myself.
I do a good amount of rom-coms.
That's nice, man. That's awesome. Have you got a I was gonna. It looks like you're sipping on a beer there. I was gonna ask it.
No, it's tea. It's tea.
Tea. Nice,
Tea.
nice. I was gonna say, yeah, you got a favorite non-alcoholic and/or alcoholic beverage of choice?
My favorite non-alcoholic is Coca-Cola for sure. But I don't drink Coca-Cola anymore. Well, I do, but not as much as before.
Yeah.
So, usually I just drink tea. I'm not a big coffee guy. I know like everyone loves coffee, but I've never been a real coffee guy.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and beer, I love the light beers. I love the Bud Lights, Tecate, Modelo. Modelo has been my favorite lately, and I love the Japanese Asahi, Kirin. I think I saw one of your posts. You had like an Asahi or something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think the Japanese make unreal beers.
Yeah.
Asahi's just well, it's super dry, right? It's just super crisp. I think in this weather in Australia,
Yeah.
because it's so hot and humid, like if you get like just a freezing cold Asahi,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
it's like prime, That's cool. That's cool. I'm a bit of a coffee drinker myself, but it definitely has an aftershock that I don't like sometimes. Yeah, the anxiety and the jitters set in. It's never a good thing. So, this one might be a hard one for you, man. But have you got a favorite band at all? I'm always interested to ask this question.
Favorite bands? The Rolling Stones, but that's such a typical answer,
It's
But
a good one, but yeah,
yeah, it's like like Rolling Stones, Beatles, and Led Zeppelin's like off limits for favorite bands,
yeah,
because
that's
like
it.
everyone likes those bands. But I like. So then from there, I think my roots is like 50s music,
Mm,
and then like kind of like the Japanese like idols or rock. That was kind of like what I grew up on. But then, so I love like rock and roll type music,
yeah.
So,
Mm,
but I think I really like the band Hanoi Rocks. They're like a huge influence.
yeah. Yeah. Good
And
call.
New York Dolls, because they have everything mixed. They have
Mm,
they have the 50s sound, the girl group sound. They were
yeah.
kind of proto punk. Iggy and the Stooges. There's too many, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely can hear that influence too in the way you play guitar and then that sound that you add to the Bronx. Like it's definitely that raw. Well, they like the New York Dolls especially, like they were just so cutting edge, like in the
Yeah, back
70s.
then,
Like
yeah.
they were just out of this world, and that they're a great band. I saw them shit, this is going back. I must have been like 10 years ago. I was able to see them live.
Yeah, they did the reunion shows. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was only like a few of the original members, of course, but it was just great. Like from a nostalgia point of view, fuck, man, it
Yeah.
was such a fun show, you know. So, no,
But then,
that's
yeah,
cool.
go ahead. Yeah, but then I love like all the metal band. AC/DC.
Yeah,
They're not metal, but they're like an ideal band.
yeah,
They're kind of like in that legend realm now too. But I like Pantera. I like Motley Crue. I like
yeah, no,
Metallica. I just like you know everything.
yeah, shit, yeah, man.
And every,
I love that. I appreciate that. Pantera's probably my favorite metal band. I reckon. Like they're just the
yeah,
one that.
I never got to see them. A bunch of my
Nah,
friends got to see them. They're so rad.
yeah, that's the one that's like the painful one because you're never going to see them like as you
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
see
yeah,
them.
yeah.
And I think too that's myself personally speaking is probably added to that element of like why I hold them in such high regard. Because like fuck, I'm never going to see them like that.
Yeah.
But they were just so cool, that groove that they had, and it was just so heavy like for that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. But yeah, and then Dimebag Shreds, but they kind of had their like, little catchy,
Mm,
elements too. Yeah,
yeah,
they're rad.
yeah,
And I like Nirvana, the whole Seattle grunge type stuff too.
yeah. That's cool. You sound a bit like myself. I think because you have that mad appreciation for playing guitar and guitar itself, that it's hard to box you in with like this is my
Yeah,
band and
yeah.
oh this is my
Yeah,
genre.
yeah.
I mean, the fact that you can say like you like Pantera, Motley Crue, and Nirvana in the same sentence,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
means you like guitar. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, fuck, man, that's really cool. I've been pumping Motley Crue a lot myself this year. Um, 2021, I thought frankly was like a mad year for albums. I mean, obviously the Bronx Six,
Yeah.
congratulations. That was probably my number one. I don't want to be
Nice.
that guy gushing, but it's probably my number one. Very close for number two actually. But did you have a favorite album of 2021?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, I liked all the turnstiles and the new Macedon and
Yeah,
all that, but nothing crazy where I was like repeating a lot of stuff.
yeah,
I don't know. And then plus from 2020 to 2021, it was like, a different appreciation for music too. Like
mm,
just because of the pandemic, I was listening to way more music than I usually do. And I listen to music a lot.
mm,
But then
yeah,
now there's, other way to listen to music too, like just listening to albums through, any kind of streaming service or
yeah,
YouTube or whatever.
yeah,
So you just never like listen to it a lot anymore. I listen to a lot of stuff, but I don't listen to like one album,
yeah,
too much. But
yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of, I'm bad about that, about not listening to new albums.
Yeah, it can be. You pointed out a good thing there. I suppose streaming services have really changed the way you listen to music. I heard you
Yeah.
on. I haven't listened to it fully yet, but you and Matt on the Vinyl
Oh yeah,
podcast the
yeah,
other
yeah.
day, which is really cool. Like I really appreciate vinyl, but it's something that like, I mean, I'm 33 now. It's sort of when I was growing up, CDs were like the rage, and then there
Yeah,
was like
yeah, yeah.
iPods and shit, and vinyl was never really a thing, and then it came back in a big way. But I sort of never really got into the vinyl thing. I think probably because it's just a whole nother thing you need to smash your money to, and go, all right, we're doing that now. We're collecting shit. So um, that's cool. I noticed. I thought being Japanese, I don't know the Wild Hearts are huge in
Oh God, yeah.
Japan.
So they're like a huge influence too. I forgot about Wild Hearts. Yeah, I caught on to Wild Hearts pretty quick because like so about early '90s when Ginger was still in the choir boys.
Yeah, yeah,
He was in that band, the London Choir Boys,
yeah.
and then my old bandmate's brother was like, "Oh yeah, there's a super cool guy band called London Choir Boys, and one of the guitar players is really cool. His name is Ginger."
Mm,
And then he showed me a picture of the old glam rock Ginger.
yeah.
And then and that was that because he got he quit Choir Boys pretty quick. But then I was reading the Japanese magazine and they were like, "Oh yeah, Ginger from the Wild Hearts with the drummer from Dogs D'Amour, Bam, has a new band."
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." And then I bought Earth versus the Wild Hearts, and it was like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
because it was like metal, but it was like, you know, super catchy chorus. It was melodic, and songs were like 7 minutes long with like
Mm.
5 different riffs in one song.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Iconic, hey.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. I think creepily in this day and age, if you got someone on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, you can sort of see people crossing over because
yeah.
I've been talking to CJ actually about doing a show as well next month. And I saw it popped up, and I don't know why, but I always get a mad kick out of bands that I listen to that like know each other or like each other. I'm like, fuck, this is
Yeah.
cool, you know. That for me was probably between the Bronx Six and the Wild Hearts 21st Century Love Songs. That
Yeah,
those two were
that
the ones
album,
that
that album was really good. What was the first song on that album?
the
Six something. That song
yeah.
was really good. It was
I'm
like, it had a
drawing a
really
blank here,
cool.
man. Yeah, it was the one they released it
Yeah,
as they released it as a single. I know that, and it was like well, it started with 21st Century Love Songs, but then I can't remember the first single that they had, but it was like
yeah, it was a cool
Remember These
song. Yeah,
Days. That was it.
yeah, yeah. But
And they had
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. So Wild House were cool, man, and you know, I like got into them, but no one really, you know, got into them in the States in the '90s. So I'd have to like, whenever I went back to Japan, I'd buy a bunch of their CDs, you know,
mm.
and yeah, it and fine. And then with my old band, we toured with them in 2003, I think.
Was that the Dragons? Was it?
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
how I became, you know, I got to know them, you
yeah,
know, became friends with them, hung out with
yeah.
them, you know.
No, that's cool. They definitely had a big following in Japan, which is really cool. They were sort of definitely one of those bands that unfortunately for them, like I think that they were just so good, but they probably just at the wrong time in history when they were like
Yeah, yeah,
creating the
yeah,
music that they did, you know. And
yeah.
even now, I mean, Ginger, like he's just so prolific, like with the way he just releases so
I
much shit. And even
know.
CJ, you know, like he's got this greatest hits album coming out with. He's done quite a few solo albums, and I just think they're just one of those bands that like you can always sort of for me, much like the Bronx, like if I know you guys are going to release an album, I'm like, I'm not worried. I'm like, it's going to be good. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this
Yeah.
is refreshing. This is nice.
When people ask me what Wild Hearts album they should listen to, I'm like, oh my God, you
Yeah,
know,
me too.
there's so much cool stuff, you know. But
Mm,
you got to direct them in the right direction because, you know, they have like super catchy songs, super heavy songs, you know.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I agree. Earthverse is probably the best. Like, that's like the iconic one.
yeah.
I was massively into their White album, that self-titled album from 2007. That was the one
Yeah.
that made me really go hard with them again. I always was hard with them, but that one was just like fuck. For 2007 was just I repeated it for like every day for like a year. I was like, God, you know, but it was cool, man. But no, cool, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I love hearing those answers. Hey, let's go back a bit, man. You said I know, you've been with the Bronx like pretty much since the dawn of time. I don't think you were on the first album, but you sort of were included on the second album, and then Mariachi
No,
El Bronx.
I wasn't, I joined in 2006, right when the second album came out. So I didn't play on the first or the second one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that you might have had some guitar parts on the second album, and I wasn't sure myself because I couldn't remember
Yeah.
seeing you on certain things, you know. So
Yeah. So after so I joined right as the second album came out.
yeah,
So I've been in the band for what, 16 years already.
yeah.
That's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long time, man. So you were
Yeah.
there for Bronx 3 sort of onwards, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. I think for myself, I think I was a bit of a late bloomer, frankly. I think I heard Bronx 4. There was this cool footage. It was like a mosh cam footage of like must have been Youth Wasted, and the
Oh
chorus
yeah.
for that song was just like so catchy. And that was the one that really hit me at the time. And I've done this with so many bands where I'm like, I fucking love that song. Then I get that album. Oh man, I love that album. Then I go back and I was like Bronx 1, 2, 3, and then you know moving forward
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's really cool. Congratulations on the Bronx 6. That album, as I said, was a huge album, and I really appreciate the way you guys released everything and did everything. I thought it was like totally new and refreshing. I haven't seen that
Yeah.
in a while
Yeah.
where someone's
Thanks,
done
man.
that. What was the concept behind that? I'll let you explain. I won't butcher it, but you.
So what we had the album done in 2019. So we
Mhm.
recorded in the summer of 2019, and then it was all, you know, got mixed and mastered pretty much by the end of 2019.
Yeah, well,
And then we were going to release it in March of 2020, but then for some reason our label was like, oh, let's push it back to September 2020.
Mhm.
And we're like, all right, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then once March 2020 hit, it was, pandemic. So
Yeah.
we were like, oh man, that was kind of a blessing in disguise,
Mhm.
because in March of 2020, we didn't know how long it was going to go. It was like, everyone's like, oh yeah, in the summertime, maybe it'll
Yeah.
take a few months for this to be over. So then once, like the summer of 2020 came around, we're like, oh, no way, we're going to release it and just let it go, because, a lot of bands released albums during the first couple months of COVID, and you just kind of fell by the wayside, and we didn't, we didn't want to be like, oh yeah, here's our, album, Facebook Live, here you go, we didn't want to be half-assed. So then we're like, all right, let's just kind of not, let's wait. And then we just started, it was like random texting and talking, and someone's like, oh yeah, I wonder, if there's a way to do it a song at a time.
Mm.
And then we're like, oh yeah, download it in 7-inch. And then, it just kind of went from there,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was cool. And it was like out of, correct me if I'm wrong, there's 12 tracks. So you basically released each song as a single and then partnered it up with like a piece of art, whether that be like a t-shirt, you did like there was a skateboard deck, and then you had like a beer as well. Like it was really cool. It was one of those things, like from the outside looking in, I didn't sort of catch wind of it. I was a bit late, I was like listening to the songs. I was loving them. And then I was like, hang on. I was like, they're doing this every month. And I was like, maybe I should start buying all the shit. I actually saw that post you shared this morning of that guy that had collected all the things. And I was like, I just got that FOMO, that fear of missing out. I was like, fuck. I was like, I should have done that. That was cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun because, just releasing a song at a time, everyone kind of listened to it instead of fast forwarding, skipping songs or fast forwarding or whatever. So, I mean, we usually get, good feedback, but, every once in a while they'll be like, oh yeah, the song's not so good, but then I was like, at least this guy listened to it,
Yeah. Yeah. That's that.
Yeah. Because that's the whole thing, is we wanted people to listen to it, so.
Yeah. Oh man. And we definitely did. Hey, I think that was, for me, that was it. It was like every time there was a single, like you would just flog it to death for like the 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was. And then like, and for me, and it was probably a case of like, cause you had played it so much, then when that next single came, you were like, fuck, they've beat that one. I remember when I heard White Shadow, I was like, oh my God, it's been so long since I felt like I've heard like a new Bronx song.
Yeah.
And then it was like Super Bloom came out, and that one just blew my mind. When I heard Super Bloom, I was like, they can't beat this. Like they can't top that, surely. And then Watering the Well came out, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, it's so rock and roll, that song. It had like a real Stonesy sort of feel to it, I thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd seen you do, it was like the Loudwire, your favorite riff.
Oh yeah,
video.
yeah.
Because I geek out and all that stuff. And then
when I did that, I had to make sure I went back and I was like, ooh, I got to do the easy ones because I got to make sure I play it good,
Yeah.
Because, people will be like, oh yeah, that guy sucks. He can't play,
Oh man, I know. People get so critical, hey, but
I couldn't take the criticism.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, I was like, fuck, this is cool, And I think it's cool because you played like some really iconic riffs, and then you shared like some from the album and stuff. I think that was when I first probably caught wind of breaking the news, because you said about about that on that thing, and I was like, God, I got to hear this. And that was like just lightning, that song. But that was cool. So I think, are all the singles now officially out? Are they?
No,
still got one more, or
there's one more. It comes out next month.
Which one's up?
The last one is called Participation Trophy.
That's right. Yeah. Because you released them in the order too, didn't you? Of the album?
Yeah. We didn't. We were like, oh, should we mix it up? But we're like, let's just do it in order.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. Did you have I mean, to me, they were all great for different reasons. Was there one that personally stuck out to you as one of your favorite sort of collaborations, or something that you'd wanted to do for years?
Yeah, I like obviously working with Tim Armstrong.
Yeah.
because he did every, he did the artwork,
Yeah.
he filmed us, he recorded us live, so that was super fun.
Yeah. That would have been
And I
cool.
really liked the Esteban Oriole when he did the curb feelers, the
Yeah.
photo session, because that was when we were starting to do that, when we got to about the third, fourth song, or the fourth, fifth song, that was like when, like, we were like kind of starting to do stuff and get together and film videos and all that. So that was that was really fun, just filming the videos.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That was cool. I the one that stuck out to me initially was like the partnership with Craig Stesic, because I sort of grew up, like I got a Z Flex board, and I grew up like
Yeah, yeah.
skateboarding and Lords of Dogtown and Dogtown, all that sort of stuff. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh fuck, I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, we went out to the desert with him, out to Joshua Tree. But yeah, we became friends with him because initially it was from Jovi has the band Pounded by Surf,
Yeah, yeah.
the surf band.
Mm,
And that's how he met, they met. And so he's been around, kind of like, I've met him a few times.
mm,
So, you know, there were a lot of people that were like, we wanted to do stuff with, or they wanted to do stuff with us. And, there's never time when we're on tour, like when we're
yeah,
doing our usual thing, but this was perfect,
yeah.
so yeah. But
No,
yeah, Craig's awesome.
yeah, he seems like a cool dude. I mean, his artwork and everything he does is just so iconic too. Like,
Yeah.
if you know, you sort of which was really cool. I appreciated all the film clips and stuff. I thought they were all really cool. Again, for different. I think that's what the cool thing about it was. It was like everything was like different to the last one, and it made
Yeah,
it
yeah,
like
yeah.
very fun. And as a fan, just like, oh fuck, this is cool. This is fresh. I got to get that, And then when I saw that breaking news t-shirt, because I'd missed a few of the other t-shirts. Cash wise, always running pretty lean with a young family and stuff. And you want to do more. I think you want to give back to the artists that give you so much as a listener or as a fan. And then as soon as I saw that one, I was like, fuck, that's it, bang. And I just started talking to him at the time, and I was like, oh god, I feel like I owe it to this guy. I feel tight with him now. I need to really really show my appreciation here. So yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. So next month we got participation trophy. So
Yeah.
that's probably that's where I wanted to go with this one as well. You mentioned obviously you had the album recorded for a while, just pre-pandemic, which
Yeah.
frankly, like there was a bit of time that passed from obviously when you recorded it to when you released it. To me, the album and the songs, like they still sound fresh. It was like you could have recorded it at the time you released it, like
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
interesting. But I guess it gave you time to think ahead and go, look, let's do something a bit different.
Yeah.
Do you think, as someone in the industry, like you've seen it change, I suppose, from streaming services and stuff like that. Now the whole COVID era, it's good that you're coming back and touring, which is awesome. But where do you sort of see music, the industry right now? I know Australia, like it's been smashed to bits in a way. Like everyone's having a real hard time here. Where do you sort of see it going? And are you having an okay time right now? Like, is it good?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, everything's kind of getting back to how it was in a way, but then, there's a lot that's different now, it's
Mm,
like, I think everyone's just, it's like based on their iPhone. Everyone watches everything on their phone and listens to everything on their phone. And then,
yeah.
now there's TikTok where it's like, 15 seconds or, not even a minute,
Yeah.
but then, there's still bands that are doing the touring like us,
Mm,
there's, a lot of different creative ways to do stuff, like releasing the stuff monthly,
yeah.
or I think our thing is trying to make it, trying to do something that people will be like, oh wow, this is cool, instead of just releasing a song and be like, all right, here you go,
Yeah. Yeah.
but which is a lot of artists do now, they're like, oh yeah, here's our song on SoundCloud, here's our song on,
Yeah.
Spotify, or here's our clip, but and then live stuff where it's pretty much kind of happening over here now, like their
Yeah.
bands are touring, and I see a lot of long tours,
Yeah, no, that's good.
um,
I've been keeping tabs on everything because I follow heaps of bands from the States and Europe and stuff, and it seems like things are back to normal in a way, which is
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
What's the vibe like at the shows? I know, like, no, because they dropped all the mandates and stuff, haven't they? Like,
Yeah, well, I think tomorrow, February 15th, they in California, you don't have to wear masks indoors.
yeah, right.
But and then it's like so different in every state here too, And like Australia's provinces, right? It's like different,
Yeah, that makes
So,
that makes it
yeah.
hard.
But
Yeah,
it's pretty much, it's it's kind of the same, there's people wearing masks and there aren't people wearing masks, and we got back to playing last summer with we did the Rancid and the Dropkick Murphys tour, and then that was actually cool because it was all big outside venues,
yeah,
so it was like, people were wearing masks and there weren't, but it was a huge outdoor space, so it wasn't such a
yeah. Not as dicey, I
not a
suppose.
claustrophobic situation.
Yeah.
But the first, so then we did that first leg of that tour, then we did a festival in Chicago. We did the Riot Fest, and then we
Yeah.
had our own show. That was the first time we played indoors. It was like 400 people in a small room.
Yeah,
But I mean, it was fine.
yeah,
I think I think it's gonna get back to normal soon, hopefully.
yeah. For everyone's sake, I hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally I bought a ticket to go see Nashville Pussy like back
Oh,
in
yeah.
late 2019, and it was like rescheduled. Now they're due to play September 2022. So
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
come on, we want to get that, like, between yourselves, Nashville Pussy, and I got a ticket to see Idols as well. I've got 3 bands so far this year. I'm like, right, it's been so long since I've seen live music. Like, we really want to get it done, and you feel bad for the musicians as well. I mean, especially when they're making these great albums, and you're like, fuck, I want to see them toured, and I'm sure you guys want to do that too, because that would always be in the formula, I suppose. Like, do a new album, release it, and then go on some sort of like countrywide tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you want to get back to that time, and it's good too. I mean, fuck, there's, from a fan, hearing an album on a disc or on vinyl, great. Seeing it live and getting your ears smashed in,
Yeah.
that's like the ideal situation.
Yeah. I miss the traveling too, miss the traveling to going somewhere. We really miss Australia because we haven't been there since like late 2018,
Yeah,
So we haven't been there in like 3.5 years. So yeah.
I'm excited to. You know what? I've always missed like a Bronx show for some reason. Whenever you guys have come to town, and yeah, now I'm just like, nah. And that was the thing, again, from a fan's point of view. I think you never thought that tours and these would be taken. You always think, they'll come back. As long as they're together, they'll be back.
Yeah.
And I think for me, and I'm sure a lot of people, it's created that like, oh shit, like they might not be back if there's another pandemic, so we better, like, enjoy it while it's here. So I think the shows would be super fun as well for that reason. People must just be like, it's like a new thing again.
Yeah. And then especially summertime, people want to go out, or when it gets warm, people want to go out and see shows. But yeah, it'll be, we got a lot coming up. So
yeah. So what you got? Obviously Australia, and then what else is on the cards?
We got
for the band?
Australia, then we go to Slam Dunk just for one show, and then we have some early summertime shows in the States planned, and then fall we want to do some stuff, so from the summer to end of the year, hopefully we're playing shows, being busy.
Yeah, nice. That's cool, man. Well, I hope it all goes to head, and it sounds like it will now with how the world's starting to
I think
get
so
back
too.
to normal.
Yeah.
That's cool. What's fast forwarding a bit ahead? I know we're still championing the Bronx Six. It's a great album. I mean, how quickly do you guys sort of go, look, we love what we've done, we're rocking it, and then how quickly does the brain start firing again with like new ideas and things like that?
I think everyone personally, they're all, everyone does stuff, on their own. But I mean, it just depends on the situation, if it's like, when you're touring, it's kind of hard, like, but yeah, I mean, if there's a, flip of a switch where it's like, oh, let's release something, we could get to work pretty quick.
Yeah, cool. And is it like a being a band? I know you've had like a few different members sort of come and go over the years, but is it a collective effort in terms of songwriting and recording and things like that? Like you all get together, or is there one person that sort of rolls with the ideas
It's
initially?
it's very collaborative, especially now. Like the
Mm.
last two albums, 5 and 6.
Yeah,
There was like before that it was like Joby writing the songs and Matt writing the lyrics and the melody, obviously. But then we'd have input and we'd play our parts. But then like 5 and 6, there's been way more collaborations and like
yeah,
everyone writing songs.
mm, mm. Yeah,
And we still get in the room and hash it out too. So we
yeah,
just don't have as much time as before. So we just open like a week of window, and then we get in there, and then
yeah.
we'll do something else for a month, and then we get back and do something together for a week.
Yeah, yeah. That's I could imagine, even like just working full time, doing a podcast, having a family. I'm like, fuck, all right, I've got a bit of time. I can imagine how hard it gets for you guys that have like all sorts going on, and just
Yeah,
trying to meet
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Um,
But
no,
luckily
that
there's you could send songs now. You could like you could just
yeah.
email an idea to someone, or.
Well, yeah. I suppose technology's changed too. I've been keeping up to date with CJ's updates on his greatest hits, and he's been doing like the how he records at home sort of
Yeah, yeah,
situation.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, he's a band in a box right now. He's just sitting there at his dining table. I'm like, he's just doing the whole thing. And I'm like, it's
Yeah,
amazing how I guess technology's changed
yeah.
in that way. No, awesome, man. I fully look. I said Bronx Six for me was arguably the greatest album of 2021. It was fucking up there, man. And I've listened to it again probably, shit, man, another 10, 20 times already this
Nice.
side of 2022. So you hear no complaints from me, mate. Mariachi El Bronx, another band I love. I saw, was it the 10-year anniversary of the second album, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That was cool.
Yeah,
So
we did the picture disc, doing
yeah,
a couple shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice. So you got doing some shows coming up, or you've done the shows for it already, or
Yeah, we did 2 shows. I think we have a show coming up. I
yeah,
think we're trying to figure something out.
yeah. What's
Do
the
like a bigger show.
I love the fact that I had a mate come around the other night and I was telling him about this podcast, and I had Mariachi El Bronx on the TV. I literally was like Bronx and El Bronx. And I'm explaining, he's like, so wait, he's like, this is the same band? And I'm like, well, yeah, but like slightly different, so
Yeah, it's so hard to explain to people,
that's it.
but it's hard for people to like comprehend, same band, but especially when you say mariachi, you're like, mariachi, really?
Yeah, yeah. You guys do it so well. And then he's sitting there looking at the TV going, so wait, is he Mexican? And I'm like, I definitely don't think he's Mexican.
Yeah,
And
there's
I'm like,
there's only one Mexican in the band.
that's it. Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm like, Ken's he's Japanese by birth, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, I don't know where there's a Mexican, but there's one in there somewhere. But I'm like, you couldn't, just listening to it, fuck, it sounds Mexican,
Yeah. We practiced all those instruments, the traditional instruments.
Yeah, yeah. What was I know that initially the idea behind that was that you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't want to record like acoustic stuff as the Bronx. So this was like a way of doing like softer songs
not,
as
not
such.
record, but it was like a TV show, like an unplugged show.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
at that point, it was like the only the first two Bronx album,
Yeah.
which was like really punk rock.
Mm,
So like Joby was like, playing those songs acoustic isn't going to sound that
Yeah.
good. It's just like playing punk rock songs on an acoustic guitar. So then he had the idea to do it a mariachi style.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. And he liked how that, he kind of liked that, when they did it on the TV show. And then he wrote like 3-4 songs, and Matt sang on it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was cool, man. I think too, you guys just transitioned so well, like from that hard punk sound to a Mexican mariachi band. It's like it's hard to think that it's the same band. Like Matt's voice especially goes from that real hard thing to he's got a great singing voice. I think there was on Bronx 4 there was like that softer song to end the album, and I always thought it was a great song. And that was when I was like, oh, he actually sort of sounds like he's like singing here, and there's one on Bronx too as well. Like there's like snippets you hear of his voice. Yeah,
I knew he was a great singer, because he sang so well on just he could scream, he could sing,
mm,
so I knew that he was able to sing, and then
yeah,
once the mariachi stuff happened, I was like, that, I knew it
yeah,
was going to happen, and
yeah,
sometimes, when you're hanging out with him or when you're just doing something, sometimes he'll like kind of sing under his breath, like when you're just hanging out, and he'll just hum something, and then you're like,
mm.
oh man, that's awesome,
Yeah,
so
that's cool. Like, oh man, that's fun. Yeah. So I guess there could be another mariachi album in the
oh
works
yeah, for sure,
potentially. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
nice.
for
Yeah,
sure, yeah,
yeah.
it's yeah,
Will that
but
be? Have you guys? Is it 3 albums you've done?
we did 3, so
Yeah,
it'll be number 4,
yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Always something good to look forward to.
yeah.
Yeah, nice, dude. Um, Excellent, man. You mentioned there that tour with Rancid and Dropkick Murphys. From
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fan point of view, I was like gutted that was not something I could go to. I love the
Yeah,
drop.
that would be a good world tour.
Man, you got my money. You know what I mean?
It was fun.
I like that. How'd that come about? How does a tour come about? Like when you got these
It's just
bands, how is it?
any different way, booking agents,
Yeah.
management, just friends,
Mm.
or just because something's happening, someone's releasing something the same time as you, and
Yeah.
it just comes out of nowhere, or it's like really planned, it's
Mm.
that
Nice.
just that came up. I don't, and then a lot of bands are like, we all, we want the Bronx, so, we've asked you guys so many times,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So we did, I think that happened right after we did the breaking news thing with Tim,
Yeah, yeah,
and,
it definitely seemed at the same time.
Joey, our drummer, is good friends with, Tim too. So,
Yeah, yeah, because man, Joey's been in a lot of bands, right? He's sort
oh
of one of
God,
those
yeah.
guys. Like, I was talking to a friend the other night about it, and I'm like sort of rattling him off, and I'm like, fuck, he's been around, like
Yeah, yeah. And then he does stuff that's not out in, that, he does studio, or like, just little, like he did like a Hives tour because their drummer couldn't make it,
yeah,
so Joey went and sat in for them for like a month, so he does that kind of stuff too, where he's
yeah.
not actually in the band, but
How good,
he's an
yeah,
awesome guy. He's an awesome dude, super inspirational. It's just cool. He's one of those guys that's like just cool hanging out with, or just being
yeah,
around,
yeah.
He has a
He's
lot of cool stories, obviously.
Yeah, man. I mean, to be a fly on the wall for me, like I'm very grateful that I get to do something like this and get to talk to people like
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
and get it's crazy, but I would love to, talk to all you guys on a long enough timeline, and if I can come along for the ride, it's cool. But yeah, he's iconic, man. And it was one of those things too, like when we started talking on Instagram, you sort of when someone gets back to you, themselves personally, you're like, man, that's like really cool. He must be quite a down to earth sort of person. It's nice to one, get a response, but two, like, get acknowledgement. And I've messaged Joey a couple of times, and he's got back to me as well. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, you guys are still quite active with your fan
Yeah,
base
yeah.
whilst doing all your things, So,
Yeah.
man, that's mad. So, yeah, I love the Dropkick Murphys. Like, my dad's Irish, and they were just always one of those bands that I just enjoyed for as long as I can
They're
remember.
really cool. Yeah. They put on a
Yeah,
big, cool show, They're
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they just seem like really cool, down to earth guys as well. Like,
Yeah. All
yeah,
those guys, the guys from Rancid
mm,
and the guys from Dropkick, there's no ego or anything, we just kind of hang out when we're not playing,
yeah,
and it's like sometimes I'm like, oh man, I'm hanging out with Tim Armstrong right now, but it's cool, they're
yeah.
that down to earth,
It must be a trip, man. Like, I guess from going, if you cast your mind back to when you were like young and sort of picking up the guitar and then looking up to some of these bands, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
going, hang on, like, I'm listening to Rancid. Wait, now I'm touring with Rancid.
Yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah.
I'm friends with Tim.
Yeah, it's surreal,
Yeah,
It's,
yeah. Do you ever pinch yourself sometimes and just get, fuck, how did I get how did I fall into this? You know, like I'm so lucky. Like
Yeah, I
it's so
mean,
cool.
yeah. You
Yeah.
know, it's cool. Like when, like even like not just even musicians, but like, producers, like,
Mm,
like the last album, Bronx Six, was done by Joe Barresi,
hmm.
who he's done Tool, Slipknot,
Yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age, but then he's done a lot of like kind of rock and roll metal bands that I've liked too in his
Mm,
early days. And he's just a cool guy. I thought I connected with him pretty good,
yeah.
but just stuff like that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like,
No.
or even like Ginger,
Yeah. It's
you know, that's it's crazy,
it
you
must be
know.
it must be cool, man. And that's not to say you haven't worked hard, because there's fucking I'm sure there's a shitload of hours that go into practicing the guitar and writing, and I couldn't imagine being in a band or a full-time musician as like an easy sort of profession, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
But
no,
yeah, I
that
mean, yeah, it's cool,
yeah, that's cool, man. That's amazing. Have you got I know you got Chubby and the Gang with you on tour in Australia.
Yeah,
I didn't know how that, because they're an English band.
yeah,
I saw that, and I was pleasantly surprised, because I really like them as well. I thought you
yeah,
might have had
yeah,
some Australian sort of support, but I was like, fuck, cool. This is almost like another band that I wanted to see. I was like, this
yeah.
is awesome, you know. So is it a case of like you guys are fans of certain bands and you'll go, look, we want to tour with them, or how'd that sort of come about?
Yeah, that happens. But then, when there's a buzz on the band, like Chevy
Yeah.
and the Gang, they're looking for stuff to, get into also,
Mm, mm.
So, it's like it's a fifth, it's like a give and take, because, it's good for them and it's
Yeah.
good for us to get, new fans through bands like that, and it's always cool to have a good band you could watch and listen to, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about that the other day, talking about music. I had Mo, this band that I used to follow all the time. And when we were talking about, he's been support bands on bigger bands in Australia and stuff, and how you just, those big bands like that appreciate music, like they're always in the crowd somewhere watching the support
Yeah, yeah,
band, or
yeah.
vice versa. So it's cool too, I think. And I think that's one of the great things about going to live music. Everyone's a fan, even the musicians that you're going to see, everyone's a
Yeah.
fan, So, um,
What's funny, our promoter in uh, Australia, when he said a funny thing, because whenever we do like festivals, we do like there's like the signing tent.
yeah, yeah.
So whenever we do the signing tent, like no one comes. Like
Yeah,
there's like 10 people that come, like you see like another band, their like line is like huge, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
our line is like, 10 drunk guys or whatever. But
Yeah.
then we're like, cool, we can sign them. But then our promoter's like, you know why no one comes to your signings? He's like, because you guys are always hanging out at the bar.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
no, they don't have to go to a signing. Either all they have to do is go to, the back of the club, and you guys are, watching the band, hanging out, and drinking beers.
Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of felt good about that. It was like, yeah, that's what we're always hanging out. So
Yeah. Nah, it's
we're easy to approach, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, dude. Mate. I definitely think if I see you in the crowd in one of these Brisbane shows, I'll be buying you a beer or something, coming to shake your hand for sure. Thanking you for being on the podcast in real life. But yeah, that's really cool, man. And I think it sort of goes, like I know you guys are all from California, and I think it sort of shows you got that. You guys seem relaxed, like just down to earth people. I think it comes across in your music, even though it's incredibly hard and aggressive in some ways.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. I always say to people, like, sometimes the safest place to be is a mosh pit, because it's just like a family. And the
Yeah,
band
yeah.
always promote that. But that's cool. Tour wise, we'll wrap it up pretty shortly, man.
Cool,
Any other
cool.
big mega shows in the works with other bands that you can release yet, or
No, not really.
yet? Is
Yeah,
there
not
any
yet.
is there any bands that you've not toured with, like what are the dream bands if you could partner up?
Oh God.
I
Well,
want to do it
we
too.
never. I've toured with the Wild Hearts, but the Bronx never did
Yeah,
a tour with Wild Hearts. But I mean, there's a lot. Rancid was like a good one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah. Yeah, no, that would be cool, man. There's so many bands I could see you with, but it sounds like you're ticking them off very quickly. So have to check it out. I will, before I finish off, man, I wanted to the guitars you play, Zematis.
Oh
You're
yeah,
wearing
yeah,
a Zematis
Zemitis.
t-shirt. We might as well give them a shout out. But literally, I always get full on guitar envy every time I see you with the guitars because I'm like, fuck, they're just beautiful guitars.
They're nice. Yeah, they sound
Yeah.
good too.
Oh, great, man. Yeah. How did that come about? That sort of partnership?
It was actually uh so Zemitis started out in England.
Mhm.
Tony Zemitis, he was making guitars for Keith Richards and Ron Wood and Gilby
Yeah.
Clarke, and those it was handmade,
Yeah.
so it was like it cost a fortune, and
Yeah.
you had to go to him and he had to like you and whatever. But then he passed away
Yeah.
in early 2000s. So a Japanese company, Greco Kanda
Oh,
Shokai,
yeah. Yeah.
they kind of, I don't know if they got the rights, licensing fees, whatever, but they got together. And at first they were releasing it as Greco, like, so it was like Zemitis guitars, but Greco logo.
Yeah,
Made in-
right. I
made in
remember seeing
Japan.
Greco back in the day.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then I think in the last few years, they kind of started selling it in the US
Mm.
or trying to go worldwide a little more, And then I was like, oh, I've always wanted a Zemitis, even the
Yeah.
Greco one, because they were just, and then they were just so expensive and it was hard to find, and they didn't make that many. And I loved Gilby's guitar, I loved Ron Wood's black 3 pickup one, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, that's so cool. And then randomly I found their website on like 5 years ago or whatever, and then there was a thing that said, hey, do you want to play a Zemitis? And I was like, cool. So then I just clicked on it, and they just asked you questions, they're like, oh, well, how do you hear about us? So I just, and then they're like, tell us about yourself. And I just
Mm.
kind of, I didn't really like say like, oh man, I'm the guy in the Bronx and whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I love Zemitis and
Yeah.
I'm Japanese, and but then I was like, here's my band's website, whatever. So then I sent that in, and I kind of forgot about it. Not, I didn't forget, but it was like it just took a little bit for them to get back to me. And one day I was on tour, and they're like, hey, you want to come check out the showroom? And I was like, nice. So then
Yeah.
that's when I went in, and they're like, oh yeah, let's work together. And so like 5 years already, since 2018, so 4 years.
Yeah.
I've been playing
Wow.
this. But it's
Man.
cool because it's perfect for the road. They're like made well, they sound well.
Yeah. I mean, they look
They look-
like super cool too. Like
Yeah.
they look cool. So is it a case of they just like, I've never had a sponsorship of any sort, man. They just send you like guitars when you request them, or free guitars,
no,
or how does it work?
I mean, just like just the ones I have.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't go and be like, hey, let me have one. But,
Yeah,
but they're all cool. Like if I went and asked them for something, I'm sure they'd
Yeah.
be cool about it. But I'm not that kind of guy. I'm like, I was lucky to get one.
Yeah.
Now I get they were like, what, we want to want you to have a backup.
Yeah. I
So
saw that. Yeah.
instead of having my like the like my vintage guitars on tour, those are perfect too. And it's guitars that a lot of people don't have, so it's kind of cool that
Yeah.
it's
Oh
it's just
man.
the one, it's different than what everyone else has, so that's kind of cool too.
Yeah. You don't see them played that much, like
Yeah.
by a lot of bands. They're
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
you mentioned a few names there, and they're very, I think once you see one, you can't help but go, fuck, that's a cool guitar.
Yeah.
And you want to get one. I got a couple of guitars, but it's the goal one day is to just have guitars all through the house, because they're just like that. That especially is like, it's like a piece of art.
You got to get a
So,
Tim guitar.
yeah, I need to, man. I need to. Hey, the homegrown hero. I need to hit him up. I hope he gets back in. I'd love to see him in another establishment sometime
know.
soon. So
Yeah,
we'll
this
we'll
store was awesome.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure he's doing heaps of stuff there. I know yeah, he did all the Moz rights and things like that. All the Ramones sort of looking ones.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but he just always had like cool stuff, like
Yeah.
great stock. Man, so good. But I feel like I talked to you all day, man. I should probably let you go at some point.
All good, all good.
Nah, all good.
You got to go to work now?
Man, I do. It's fucking 8 o'clock in the morning. This, I tell you, congratulations. You're the earliest podcast I've ever done.
Oh,
So
sorry it was so early.
nah. Honestly, it was cool. I'm really super grateful, man, that you took the time out of your day and your schedule to catch up with me. It means a lot. I mean, it's the equivalent of you maybe going on tour with Rancid or the Stones or Hanoi Rocks or something like that.
We'll do a second one after
Yeah.
the Australia tour.
Yeah, man, that'd be fucking great.
Yeah.
That'd be great, man. And if I can catch up with you at the show, man, to say hello and
Yeah,
buy you
yeah,
a beer,
totally,
get a
yeah.
photo for sure, man. That'd be cool. So the Australian tour before we go starts. Is it May 17th?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in all the major cities. I had a look last night. Looks like you've doubled up. You're doing 2 shows in each city now. Is that right? Just
I
about.
was just looking too. I don't know the exact, but I did see 2 days in Brisbane. So
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if I've got tickets to the Monday or Tuesday. Whatever the first one was announced, I've got tickets for that one. But we might have to get some more tickets, mate. Make a bit of a bender of it, I think.
we'll have some Asahis.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, we'll get some on ice. At least it'll be winter, so it won't be fucking stinking hot.
Oh
Hopefully.
yeah. True.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, man. There's always time for a cold beer in Australia. It's never that cold here. So, man, losing my voice. Yeah, dude, super grateful for your time. Really appreciate it. If you aren't familiar with the Bronx and you listen to the show regularly, go and check out the Bronx. Start anywhere. Bronx 6, work back to number 1. Start at number 1, work to number 6. If you like fucking Mexican music, go and check out Mariachi, our Bronx. But Ken Horne from the Bronx, man, I really appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It was
No,
fun.
all good, man. We'll speak soon, all right, man? Thanks, dude.
All right.
All right, mate. That's King of the Couch, episode 130 with Ken Horne from the Bronx. Have a great week. We love you all.